right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of WineShark Wednesday. It is your favorite talking wine head, the WineShark. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great week. Sorry I missed you all last week. I was actually out in California, first on a bit of personal business and friendship. Had a good little vacation. But then, oh boy, I have stories. We went up to the Sierra Nevada foothills wine country up in California, a place I have not been in many years, and got familiar with some of their wineries. So look for more info on that as a potential tour destination upcoming in the future. Very excited to visit Plymouth, all the folks at Sauvon and Story and the Tuscan Via. Thank you all very much for your hospitality and advice and wonderful juice. So let's talk about soil. We're going to do a little bit of soil talk today, just a kind of a brief hit on the dirt that wines grow in. I got a question about this, about what effect it has on wine, and today we're just going to cover a little short version of this. If you want a more detailed description about what's going on, then about soil and soil science, you can hop over on Patreon, and I'm going to do a fully detailed version of this. But here's just kind of some of the highlights. First things first, the way that wineries usually describe soil is by its origin, and then a combination of that plus its texture. So there's three primary soil styles: igneous rock, sedimentary rock, metamorphic rock. We all may remember this from our science classes in elementary school. But igneous rock is solidification of magma or lava. So volcanic and granite rocks fall into this category. Sedimentary rocks are those that are laid down and deposited via compression via mineral or organic compounds, very often associated with bodies of water like oceans or rivers. Then we have metamorphic rock, which was one of the other two types that has been transformed by heat and pressure. So volcanic rock and granite rock are igneous. Sedimentary include limestone, sandstone, and flint, sometimes in the industry called silex. Then metamorphic rock includes schist, slate, and gneiss, spelled Gneiss. It's not gneiss, although I don't know, saying gneiss sounds kind of cool. So those are kind of the broad styles. Now we're not going to dig into each and every one of those. What we want to know is, though, how do we combine one of those three types or the subtypes with the textures that come along with that? In other words, what is the actual quality of the actual soil itself? Okay, so we talk about textures in terms of words that you're probably more familiar with, things like loam or silt or sand or clay or gravel or even alluvium, or maybe you'll hear it referred to as alluvial soils, which are river deposited soils. So those names plus their origin name, you might have, say, sandy limestone soils, okay, or clay-based volcanic soils. Well, actually, I don't think clay-based volcanic works. I'm making up pairs as I go along. But understand that the combination of those two things is where we get our soil types. All right. So, hey, Mr. John carries on. Well, hello, Mr. John. He said, "He's wondering if my Insta posts were from a tour or not." No, actually, it was just a little private tour. It was me doing pre-scouting for the tour, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But yes, gneiss is gneit, I think. So that combination of those two things is how we describe soils. But as a wine drinker, why do you care? And hang on, actually, before we do that, let me show you a great picture that I did get from a previous tour, visiting with my friend Randy Lang. This is up at Lang Twins Winery, and he actually has these at the tasting room. These are labeled versions of the different types of soil that he uses in various vineyards of his own. So you can actually see, just even at this level, you can see that differences in, say, the sandy soils on the left, the more rough sandy one, and alluvials on the far right, and that really rough, rocky kind of volcanic soil that they've got there that's been deposited. Those different textures offer different drainages, different mineral types, and overall very different examples of what goes into the wine. Oh, hey, it's AZ. Well, hello, Miss AZ Plays Games. How are good to see you. So yeah, soil type is very important to the person growing grapes. But I will say, overall, it's a little less important to those of us who are doing the drinking, in a soft way. Meaning, generally, it's not about taste. The soil has never really been proven that it has an impact on wine's taste. Many, many years of marketing and belief in viticulture had the idea that terroir equaled taste. But in modern science, we haven't really been able to prove that you're seeing a direct link between, say, the clay soils and it tasting like clay in your glass. So this is something that's rather controversial because you're basically kind of throwing it in the face of many thousands of years of winemaking. But remember, terroir is almost as important as a measure of marketing / prestige as anything else. Being able to say, I grow these wines here and nobody else has soil like mine, puts your wine in a very unique position. It means it cannot be replicated. So that's really, I think, a lot more of the driving force behind the tyranny of terroir, as you may have heard me call it. So just be advised that it's not about the taste. It is, however, about grape health. Grape vines thrive in different types of soils. Different types of vines do better in different versions of those combinations we talked about before. Also, different soil types can prevent bad things from happening to your grapes. They can prevent certain pests, like, for instance, phylloxera doesn't like sandy soils. So if you happen to be growing your grapes in sandy soils, you don't have to worry about that particular pest problem. You can worry about other things. So that's just kind of a quick, short version of what soil's about. As I said, if you guys want to see a deep dive and really kind of get a little bit into more to know which grapes and which famous regions match up to those types, I'm going to do a little deep dive into that. So join me over on Patreon, and you can get access to a lot of the deep dive and high-level information that I'll be sharing up over there with all of my awesome Patreons. So from that, first off, I need a sip of wine. And second, it is time for the wine quiz. Brought to us by the wonderful trivia cards of the Wine War game. So, 5 categories, 5 questions for yours truly. We'll see how many we can get right this week. I've never seen any of these before, so I'm doing them off the cuff. But I need to write down and remember what the categories are. I believe the first one's about viticulture. The second one's about grape types. The second one's about storage. Third one's about etiquette, and the last one's about just a general category. So, first question: what is the term for grape solids and dead yeast cells that settle to the bottom of a wine tank during fermentation and aging? So, what's the stuff that falls out in the tank during aging? I'm going to go ahead and say must, although I think that might not be right. I know that they also call it, once they press it out, they call it cake, but we're going to go with must. Oh, lees. Lees is what they're using here. Now, I've heard lees as just the dead yeast cells. Did not realize that it included also the grape solids. So, one wrong for me. All right. Because also, if you hear on lees aging, lees can be a funky word too. On lees can mean that they leave those grape solids in during the aging process to leach out a lot of extra flavor and color. When I was up in Amador AVA up in the hill of the Texas. Sorry, man, I'm stumbling here. When I was up in Plymouth at the Amador AVA in the Sierra Nevada foothills of California last week, I'm gonna have another glass of wine. I discovered a place called Story that makes style of wine from the ancient Georgian style. They do extended on lees aging, where they have 6 months of contact of their white wines, where they've got white wine grape skins in contact. Produces these really dark gold type wines that are very different style than their more Western counterparts. So, fun detail. All right, question number 2. Which is the place name for Spanish red wines made with primarily Tempranillo and Grenache blends? Rioja or Rueda? The answer to that would be Rioja. That was correct. Yes, Rioja is definitely known for its Tempranillos. Probably one of the most popular and easily accessible Spanish wines these days. All right. Which flavor characteristics is least likely to describe wine? Fruity, herbal, grapey, earthy, or spicy? I'm going to go with grapey. One of the interesting things I think we talk about in the wine world is that the wine rarely tastes like grape, or if it does, it's usually considered a flaw. Answer was grapey. All right, so hey, not bad. We're catching up now, 2-1. All right, next question. Which variety of port is most likely to be used in cooking? Vintage, tawny or ruby? Oh, I'm a little stumped on this one. And you know that I love my wine and food combos. In fact, I'll have to show you a photo. I'll have to post it up on Instagram of a pork pairing that I did with some seared sous vide pork tenderloins, some Berkshire pork tenderloins with a homemade Kansas City style barbecue sauce, a little spicy sweet, and paired that with a tawny port. It was delightful. So let's go with tawny just because it's what I poured last. Ah, they say ruby. Well, they don't give much of a reason, but there it is, ruby port. All right, so that's 2-2. Final question. Here's the result for the whole game. True or false, France's wine consumption rates have dropped more than 50% since 1980. That's a long damn time. I wonder when this game was written, too, being that, that's 40 years ago now. I'm going to go false. I don't think their wine production has dropped 50%. Oh, they say true. Changing dining habits among young wine drinkers are cited as a contributing factor. Well, looks like I lost the game today, folks, but I'm going to have to check that last detail. Once again, sometimes I disagree with the cards. John Kerry asks, would have guessed ruby, isn't that typically younger? Not quite younger, just in a different style. Rubies and tawnies can be of equal age. And hey, AZ, come on, it was 2 out of 3. That's at least a C. Rubies and tawnies can have equal age. They're not necessarily aged, but they are created differently while they age. Tawnies have that extra airspace, which adds oxidization. So they have two different flavor profiles, even if they're exactly the same age. So while rubies are generally the style that goes into vintage ports, because they are kept in that style, there are also vintage tawny ports called Colheita. Free fun fact about port today. Ta-da! All right, so not so good on my quiz. Hard C, no matter what AZ says. And last but not least, let's talk about the grocery store grab. So today's selection. As for those of you that have not seen the grocery store grab before, this is our attempt to get the best value per dollar out of wines found at non-specialty and non-big box retailers. If you have the necessity or convenience of shopping in a grocery store, you might find that it's difficult to get good wine help. So we rely on label reading and how to read good labels and rewarding wines that have good, practical information on their labels. Okay, so we want to know where the wine's from, what's in the bottle, and what does this wine taste like. Our example today is from Monterey County. Caught my attention because this is a little saucy example here, I think, where the bow on the label, right, just kind of reminds me of some little choker or something. Anyway, Chloe, little Pinot Noir from Monterey County, Florida. Or sorry, Monterey County, Florida. Where am I? Where's my head today? Pinot Noir from Monterey County. This is a perfect example of what we want to see on the front of a label. Who makes it? Where's it from? What's the grape? Great, easy, simple. They're not getting lost in a lot of unique artwork. But hey, elegance has its own sort of thing, being a minimalist. But I'm going to go ahead and read the back of the bottle here, which is what got this into the grocery store grab in the first place. By the way, while I do choose these at random and I have never tried them before, I don't just pick the first bottle that hits my hand and stay with it. I want to choose bottles, and I will go through several to find one that meets our requirements so that I can share those with you. All right. So, Chloe from Monterey County. See, I think that's why I think it had like a choker, because it's got a feminine name. All right. Chloe from Monterey County, Pinot Noir. Chloe wines are beautifully crafted to inspire timeless stories and meaningful moments. From friends and mentors to sisters and teachers, Chloe celebrates the legacies that empower us to follow our heart. Read marketing text. And then last, enjoy notes of strawberry and black cherry in this elegant Monterey County Pinot Noir. So this is what I would call sufficient. Oh, Mark Midland, that wasn't an F in geography. That was basically me just stumbling my words. It's not like I didn't live there for years. Anyway, so that's kind of the basics that we're looking at here, right? We have a lot of marketing text, but only a little bit of flavor words. Strawberry, black cherry. And it says that it's elegant, which, well, who wouldn't say that about their own product? This is by sort of what I would call the minimum level that you want to be aiming for. At least they're using plain and simple words. And they're using inspiring language rather than wine person language. So notice they're not talking about their soils or their heritage or how many years their vines have been around or anything like that. They're going more for lifestyle marketing. Hey, this is a wine that reminds you of all the good things in life. So, bravo, Chloe. That's an approach, right? But mostly, let's find out whether their flavor words are actually accurate. So we're looking for strawberry black cherry. Now, strawberry and black cherry are good hallmarks of the Pinot Noir grape, especially from California. So we should be able to hit those if they are crafting their wine well. So color-wise, it is a classic dark cranberry breeding, actually even light garnet. Perfect example of nice clear Pinot Noir from the coast of California. Monterey does this excellent coastal example. So while it's technically in an overall warm climate, their coastal nature keeps the grapes cool. So, all right. Well, right off the bat, I definitely get their black cherry, but I don't get, I would suppose, the sweetness that my brain would immediately associate with strawberry. This is trending more towards those darker end of the red fruit scale. I'm thinking about cherries, black cherries, more pomegranate seeds, more pomegranate juice, rather than say something bright and sharp like a strawberry or raspberry. Right? We don't get that smell in there. But let's go ahead and take a sip and see whether that's where it follows. Okay. The cherry really continues up front. It is a fruit-forward wine, and it hits the front of your mouth. The tannins are pretty fine and all the way across the middle of your mouth, so you don't get this big grip. You get kind of a gentle glove that's mostly fruit-covered. There's a little bit of that dark tang, almost like it's a cooked cherry, like almost like fruit leather is actually what it reminds me of. It's really compact at the very back of my neck, very back of my throat, but mostly it's that cherry front of the mouth. Little hint of vanilla, maybe from any oak that they may have done. They don't tell us about any oak program here, but we can see whether that's there. But probably picking that up. Overall, pretty light, pretty easy drink. The alcohol is not coming off overly high. I think this is about 13. Yes, it's 13.9. So that is pretty hot for a Pinot Noir. That is on the high side, right? 14% being our high and up. So it's right at the edge there, but overall drinkable. This came in at $20 a bottle with the usual grocery store discount. It was a $15 bottle of wine. So that's kind of where we're rating and scaling it for what we should expect. That puts it in the popular premium category. So this is, again, very drinkable. We ask ourselves, three real questions. Is it well executed? Is it made well? The answer is yeah. There's no flaw to this wine. It's not. It does not scream of handmade quality, but that not to be expected at its price point. So it's not broken, which is a good thing. Is it on style? Yeah, I'd say so. This is a Monterey County, so this is a broader range AVA. Again, that's a little bit of wine knowledge that you'd have to know why that's important, but it's not very specific. It's not estate grown and very very micro locational. But all things considered, it does taste like many of that coastal generic Pinot Noirs. Again, nothing to scream home about. There's not a lot of elegance or layers, but it's absolutely drinkable, very easy. And of course, that kind of dovetails into, is it worth the price tag? Yeah, for $15. Although this is one of those examples where at that 15 to 20 point, when you're looking at very popular Pinot Noirs, Pinot Noir tries to kind of hit that mark, and it can be difficult. Pinot Noirs tend to start getting good at the 20 to 30 kind of point, and then even better at the $40 to $50 point. Very drinkable, but not necessarily you're not understanding why everybody gets all crazy and nutty about Pinot Noir at this price point. You're really just going, oh, cool, kind of generic, cherry, good, easy drink, not a lot of tannins. In fact, actually, that's probably the best thing to say about this wine is, if you're a red wine drinker and not a big tannin junkie, then this is a great example for you because it drinks very smooth and easy. So, yes, I think you're right. We need more good things in life. I think the Chloe is definitely getting us there. So, doing us a good job, and do give it a try. Like I said, it's widely available. I picked it up from my local grocery store at a Tom Thumb, but when I was looking for images for the bottle, I saw it advertised everywhere from Total Wine to Target to many different types of grocery stores. So this is a very broadly available wine. So I don't know. Like I said, we don't really dig into who the behind the scenes producers are, because generally speaking, you're not going to see that from the bottle. Of course, it says it's vinted and bottled by Chloe Wine Collection, Livermore, California. But I bet you good money that Chloe is part of, one of the other big labels. It's going to be a subgroup of, Gallo or Constellation or somebody like that. So, best Pinot Noir at a good price point. Okay, so now when we talk about widely available, my kind of go-to is what I think for good quality. If you're looking for good availability plus good quality, this is where Siduri ranks pretty well. Pats and Hall, if you want to spend about $40, is an awesome example. Who else am I liking that high quality Pinot Noirs? I don't have any chateaus memorized off the top of my head or the classic Burgundies, but when you're hitting Burgundy, you're starting to push that $50 or more price point, just due to import taxes and stuff. Really good wines, but I don't have any that are at the top of my list. River Road, which is a Total Wine and More exclusive, it's one of their winery directs. They make some pretty decent juice, especially from the 20 to 40 price point. You get $20 for their basic levels, like their Russian River, and then you can move up to their reserve examples easily into the $30 and $40 range, and they're quite worth it. What else are some of my favorite Pinots? Clopepe, a little more expensive, does have a vineyard version of Siduri, but Clopepe is amazing. Who else? Drawing a blank right now. Kind of put me on the spot, but those are at least a few names to try out. So send me an email or drop me a comment, and I will post a few others as well. That's what I will do. That way I can not have to just regurgitate them live on camera. I can actually, remember my own list. Like, oh yeah, I really like that. I'm sure there's somebody that I'm forgetting that's truly amazing, but those are just some that are off the top of the head. All right. Any other questions for me? We will circle back around. Like I said, soil and everything. Well, thank you very much, AZ. We will be circling back around to the deep dive in soil here pretty soon for Patreon. The Malbec deep dive will be coming out this week as well. I had to catch up from last week. I got trapped in California for a couple of days because of our weather in North Texas, so I'm behind on my production schedule. So this week you will be getting double duty, where you'll be getting a deep dive on more Malbec, and you will also, which is the dive in, and then you'll also be getting a new recipe and wine pairing, which, just to you guys, since you guys are on here and listening, let me see if I can find out where my schedule was. I'll give you the lowdown on Patreon content. What do I have scheduled, you might ask? Oh, smoked duck salad with raspberry vinaigrette. Yes, indeed, an excellent example of some of the coming out of winter and into spring. I wanted to do a salad this time. I'd done a couple of soups for the last one, so you'll get that and more. So great reasons to join us up over there. And if you guys are in the mood for local stuff, Scarborough Renaissance Festival is coming up soon. We will be having wine tastings out there daily, every weekend from April and May, except for the first weekend of April. But anyway, come out and see me out there. Lots of fun things. The tickets are on sale. Everything's online. You can find tickets on WineShark.com. You can connect that in there. So Mark says part of the wine group Cupcake amongst others. Oh, there you go. You're talking about Chloe there, Mark. Did you do the little Google foo? But yeah, Cupcake, a pretty broad brand. So yes, coming up for that, we're going to be looking for fall tours. I'm going to be talking to some of you guys individually who've been wanting to do touring. I've got some new plans. Obviously, we've got the Lodi, Sonoma, Napa, and Lake County one, but I've got a new plan for Lodi and the Sierra Nevada foothills. Get up into the mountains. It was amazing. We walked out of the Sobon Estates winery wine tasting room, and we had snow. I mean, it was bright sunshine and then snow. And snow in a weird way, not even like flakes, these little tiny snowballs. Best cool experience ever. So anyway, lots of stuff coming up, and we'll be getting you more information. We're still working on finding somebody to host personal local events and really commit to doing some weekday wine tastings. So hopefully we'll still get that done soon. If not, we have private tastings galore. Look for some of the new stuff. I'm going to post some food porn pictures up on Instagram later tonight from a sweet wine tasting that I did this weekend. I was referencing earlier that pork loin plus port as a pairing was pretty dang good. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, I have been your wine shark. Cheers. All right, now I have to go find something to eat with my Pinot Noir.